Okay, Lewis, we have just drawn 1-1 against Salzburg in the Champions League, Graham Potter's debut. A lot to be happy about, a lot to be sad about, really mixed emotions for a lot of people. But what are you thinking?
I want to be positive because it is Graham Potter's first game, and we're probably still going to see more of the same, but that's kind of where the frustration comes from, because I felt we moved the ball a lot quicker, we looked a bit more confident in possession, especially at the start, but so after 20-30 minutes, if things don't go our way, we seem to fall back into our shells. The same thing we saw in the last few weeks under Tuchel, and it kind of happened again here today. Again, I don't want to say too much because it is early days, and Potter is definitely going to change up the squad over the next few months. But right now, still the same football, good defensively, even though there's a bit of an error here and there. Dominant in possession. As soon as we get to the final third, wherever crosses we put in, nobody is there. Aubameyang disappearing, Havertz disappearing. At the very least, I'm seeing wingers taking on players now. They looked really up for it, and you expect that sort of recharge when a new manager comes in. But this game was very important because we already didn't win in Zagreb. We were already in the back foot in terms of the race to get top in the group. Now, more points dropped. AC Milan are on 4 points. We've only just scraped one. And we've got AC Milan home and away twice. It doesn't look good in the long term, but in terms of performance, it's understandable. It's just the game was really important to us, and we really needed the win, and we threw it away.
Let's talk defensively. Obviously, Tuchel, we've always known him as a manager to stick with that back three and the two wing backs, and obviously Mendy's usually our starting keeper as well. We had Kepa, we had David at centre back in a back four, something that you really don't see too much, and then Cucurella as well. He was starting as well. What did you think about the performance of the back four and the keeper as well?
Other than the error for the goal, I thought we were okay. A bit too lacklustre in possession in the second half, but I think that was a problem with the entire squad. Overall, though, I thought we were good. Silva was just excellent. You run out of words to describe how good this guy is. Reece James as well. Cucurella good in his 1v1s. Asby, for the most part, he looked solid. It was just, again, for the goal he got done. But I didn't anticipate, I didn't really feel that confidence seeing him in a back two, because when do we ever see him in that? We've seen him play right back, left back in a back four. Never seen him play centre back. It got exposed towards the second half. To be honest, I would have brought on one of Fofana or Koulibaly just to shore up the back line a bit more, but it is what it is.
There's a lot of people saying, why did we start with David at centre-back? We never do that. Why not bring on Koulibaly or Chalobah? What do you think the thought process was there? Just experience? Or?
Maybe it was experience. I get new managers going for experienced options as soon as they come into the squad. It's the same thing that Tuchel did when he first joined us. It's just, even with experience, he has never played centre-back. Never. He's played right centre-back in a back three. I don't think I've ever seen him play in a back two. But it's not really the reason why we drew the game as well. It was because we were lacklustre in possession. It was because we kind of played like we had nobody in the middle, and the possession was just going back into the same old shit after the next 20 minutes. But these are the same problems we already had when Tuchel left. So I think it's up to Potter to iron them out. But again, the game was important for us. We had to win this one. We've really set ourselves back.
Well, we've got a nice long break between, the next match. Obviously, international breaks coming up. Are you feeling like, this is a good time to reset for Potter? Get to know the players in terms of just analysing today and going through, or do you think maybe we need a little bit of momentum? We needed a few more games from him to settle in, because it's not ideal, is it? I mean, we missed out on Fulham, we missed out on Liverpool, and we've come here on his debut. I even heard a few boos at the end of the game, which I thought, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's because the Champions League, and we're already 3-4 points behind, and it's only 2 games in. You wouldn't expect to have a loss or a draw for the first 2 games if you're Chelsea, so I kind of get that. In terms of the international break, it's good for Potter, because he's going to have some time to sit down and properly look through his squad and figure out how to get the best out of them. For the players, half of them are on international break anyway. They're going off to their other countries, so I don't think it's going to do too much on that front. But it's a lot of time for Potter, which I think is a positive, because as soon as the international break's done, he hasn't got a single break until the World Cup. It's game after game after game every 3 days, which is why he can make the most of the time that he has now, but it's also... This is why 3 points was so important. You're not going to get 5 days break before a match anymore. Not until February. So we could have really done more with this, but same old frustrations, isn't it? It's the same old Chelsea.
Yeah, as well, obviously we've got to address the obvious with the Queen passing away. We all saw what happened at Liverpool. Obviously the media, they didn't want to cover it too much, but I think we were quite respectful today. I think we've got to give the Bridge a lot of credit. Sung the national anthem, I think, 3 times. Really, really respectful in the minute's silence. It's good to see a nice atmosphere as well. But I do think Graham Potter, he needs time. I personally think we're not going to finish in the top 4. I don't think that he has the players. I don't think that he has the depth that we had last season under Tuchel. Can you see us getting in those Champions League spots?
Way too early to tell, because under Tuchel it had been like, okay, we brought in a few players that suits the system, we can see how it works. Now it's a completely new manager who needs to bring in his completely new players that fit his identity. So I don't know, because this isn't Potter's squad. People are going to say it's an excuse. Well, we're at that point with Tuchel where we could start seeing players get brought in and then he got sacked. Now we're back at stage 1 of another rebuild. So I don't know. We could drop out of the top 4. I don't want to speak it into existence because I only want to focus on it. But we probably could. And if we do, Potter will still keep his job. I think Chelsea fans will completely understand. It's not his fault he got thrown into a new squad 7 games into a season. But it's about the long-term rebuild. All I need to see is progression from Chelsea. And I hate that the standards are dipping a little bit because of that. But it's where we are. It all depends on where Chelsea end up. Not going to say Potter's going to have bad runs like the likes of Ole or Arteta did, where we'd be a point off the relegation zone. But we're going to have bad patches. We're going to have good patches, and just going to have to back the manager through it all. It all depends on whether he gets his players. Because Tuchel, there was already issues with Bowley on that front. It remains to be seen whether the same's with Potter, but that'll be what defines his run.
Just to touch on that last point, Tuchel. Such a great connection with the fans. I mean, I don't think, we've got a lot of people around us. I don't think there's one person that disliked Tuchel. I really don't. And everyone I've spoken to, they're gutted. What do you feel about that? And just touch on sort of your emotions coming in. Obviously, such a quick change.
I didn't expect Tuchel to be sacked. It's still surprising because in the space of a week, look at everything that's happened. It's all mad. But I mean, it's Chelsea. I'm not necessarily heartbroken. It hurt a lot, but I've seen Jose get sacked at the exact same point in 2008, and that hurt even more. Same thing with Jose in 2015. Even the likes of Conte, Sarri. You've seen so many managers come and go. It's just Chelsea. I think the only shock is because we didn't expect it. We thought a new regime. We thought Tuchel would be given at least a season to see what happened. No one expected 7 games. Maybe in Christmas it would still be a bit of a shock, but it'd be more understandable. Now it's just all mad. But I guess they're backing Potter and they're going to give him that long-term faith that they were going to give Tuchel. And it's got to work. I still demand top 4 as a bare minimum. I'm not going to be okay with us not finishing top 4, but I get it. I just would never accept that as a good season or anything like that. But see what happens in the second season. I can't speculate too much, but if Tuchel did get sacked, one of the only managers I would have wanted to replace him would have been Graham Potter. So I can at least be happy on that front. But it is what it is. It's Chelsea. We always just sack managers like that.
It's Chelsea, mate.